Okay. There was once in my life while I was still living in Lagos, Nigeria. Had just finished my youth service. If you're not Nigerian, there's something we call NYSC. That's what you do. After you graduated from university, you have to serve your fatherland for a whole year. Yes. And you don't have a choice unless you're over 30, right? So I had finished all of that. I served in Jos Plateau State. It was great. Came back to Lagos, and there was this audition for Tinsel. That was like a very big soap opera back then in Nigeria. So the show was called Tinsel. Tinsel. And I think it was aired on Africa Magic. I can't remember right now. So I applied for that audition, and I was called. I think I was auditioning for the supporting actress. So I think I was auditioning for support actress for the lead, to a lead, one of the lead characters. So I was supposed to play the supporting lead, right? So I got called for the audition, and I dressed up and I went for the audition. Getting there, that was my first audition ever. Getting there, there were hundreds of people, and normal me would have turned back at the gate, right? Because what's all this crowd about? But I stayed, and then one after the other, we were called to do like a 5 minute video, whatever. You just do something on camera, and then they would send that clip inside to the panel of judges that were in charge of the audition. So I did mine, and then we were asked to wait, and then we waited, and after it was almost about 3 or 4 hours. People that go for auditions, you spend hours waiting until it's your time. But anyway, about 3 or 4 hours later, it was my turn to go in for a proper audition. Like, there was a panel, there was like 3 white guys, obviously the directors of the show, and there was like 2 popular actors there. And then there's a huge camera crew with lights and everything, and that was my first time. And so when I was called to go inside the studio for the audition, my legs were shaking. Like, okay, let me just do this and just go home. So I walked into the studio for the audition, and then they shut the door, and then they gave me a script to read, just portray the character. I did my best. But before that, looking at the panelists, looking at the number of people, I had concluded that this was not for me, because I just totally thought I was not good enough for this kind of thing, because I had never done it before. I was bored at home, and I saw the advert, and I just went. So seeing the people, then seeing the panelists, no, this is not for me. I'm not good enough for this. So I did the reading shaking. I knew I was shaking anyway. So I did the reading, and then he said thank you, that he would get back to me. As I was leaving the presence of the panelists, just few meters outside the door, one of the camera crew guys rushed and called me and said one of the directors wants me back. And then I went back inside. And one of the white guys said, "You have a face for TV, but you are a bit shaken. So can you try this again? We've never given another person a second chance to audition, on the spot. But I think your face is great for TV, and I would love you on this project. So can you please go over it again?" But mind you, I had already shut the door in my mind, like, no, this is not for me. I'm not good enough for this. All of those thoughts that we think are just normal negative thoughts, right? So I gave it another shot physically, but in my mind, I had zeroed it out that it was not for me. I was not good enough. So I gave it a second shot, and I could see the disappointment on the face of the white guy, because I bet he was rooting for me, but I wasn't rooting for myself. I had already concluded that it was not for me, right? Because I felt I wasn't good enough for that kind of thing. Anyway, after I did that, then I left. And of course, I didn't get a call back, because I didn't do well. Not because I couldn't do well, but because I had already concluded in my mind that I was not good enough for that kind of job. So you see, these thoughts are powerful. And when they become patterns, my dear, you need to seek help. You need to be intentional about what fills your mind, about your thoughts. And this is just one of the many stories that I could share with you guys. But the moral of the story is, even before they even give you a chance, give yourself a chance. Tell yourself that you are good enough, that you can do this. The Bible says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.